Hello students, I am Tushar Kumar Das, one of the TechU faculties working in Zorat Engineering College, Assam. So as people might be knowing, under the we have taken one initiative that is Let's Crack the Gate. So under that TechU Gate classes, we have also started another initiative that is Let's Bridge the Gap. So here we will be covering the subjects which will be you will be studying in the first year, very beginning of engineering career. So, in continuation of to the previous lecture, as I was discussing about power converters. So, the previous classes we have seen the different kind of devices, semiconductor devices, including the signal level devices as well as some power devices which will be used in the high power level. So, today we'll see the applications of those devices. So, in that applications, the first circuit that will be first application we'll study, that one is rectifiers. Rectifiers. So rectifiers are of different kinds. So first of all, let's define what is a rectifier. Rectifier means it is a circuit which converts AC supply to DC. That is what called rectifier. So AC signal means you will be having one sinusoidal signal, but it will be converted to a DC, that will be a constant magnitude. So that is the main purpose of the designing of rectifiers. Then what are the applications of rectifier? Rectifiers, you can find out the applications in adapters, mobile chargers or laptop chargers, mobile chargers, laptop chargers. Okay, these are the applications of rectifier. So, so wherever you need to convert or you need to charge, let's say battery, there you need a rectifier. And if you see at your home, you might have inverter, but that inverter acts as a rectifier while charging the battery. So the rectifier can be classified into several single phase, three phase, but according to your syllabus, we'll be discussing only single phase rectifiers. Single phase rectifiers. So single phase rectifiers, under that we'll be discussing, it is divided into two types. Okay, there are two types for single phase rectifier. One is first one you'll see, that is half wave. Half wave single phase rectifier. Half wave single phase rectifier. So for that, let's draw the circuit diagram. The circuit is something like is you can use one transformer. This is the secondary of the transformer. And here one device is connected, this diode, and here we have connected a resistive load. Let's say this is VP, the primary side voltage. This is VS, the secondary side voltage. This is the diode, and this is the output voltage V0. This resistance is R. This current is IS, which is the same as your load current I0. So this is the circuit, that is a single phase half wave rectifier. So half wave rectifier, what is this VS? So VS is actually, this is a sinusoidal voltage. So you can represent this one as Vm sine omega t. So Vm sine omega t, Vm is the maximum value and sine omega t is the sinusoidal voltage. Now, if you see, if you apply this signal to this circuit where it contains a single diode, then how the waveform will be. So let's draw the waveform. So this is, let's say, let's plot the supply secondary side voltage. So that is a sinusoidal voltage. So you can mark it like this. So this will be plus the sinusoidal voltage. Okay, so this is plus Vm and this is minus Vm. So this is pi and this is 2 pi and this is 3 pi. Now this signal, whenever it will be applied, let's say positive half cycle, if you see from 0 to pi, that is positive half cycle, during that period you will be having polarity here plus minus and here the polarity will be plus minus. So with this polarity, the diode will be forward bias. So if the diode will be forward bias, you will be getting plus here, minus here. That means current will be flowing in this path and diode will be forward biased. So what will be the output voltage? So output voltage will be reflection of the input voltage. So if you plot the output voltage, for this rectifier, how it will be? V0 will be equal to, from 0 to pi, this instant will be getting the same reflect of the output voltage. Actually, if it is ideal diode, there will be no voltage drop. If it is a practical diode, there will be very small amount of voltage drop, so which you can neglect. So it will be mere a reflection of the input voltage. So this is 0, this is pi, and this is Vm. Now from pi to 2 pi, if you see the next half cycle, if you see the input side voltage, what will the polarity? So here polarity will become minus, here it will be plus. So during that period, here it will be minus, here it will be plus. So with it polarity, the diode will not conduct. So what will be the value of V0? V0 will become 0. V0 will become 0 means it will be like this. See, this is up to 2 pi. Then after that again, then next cycle, when the next cycle will start, that is from 2 pi to 3 pi, again it will become positive and that will be followed by, so the cycle will repeat itself. The cycle will repeat from 2 pi to 3 pi. Okay, so this is how the voltage will be, output voltage will be getting in the output. Now if you plot the current, okay, if you plot the current, let's say the current is Is, that is equal to I0, then what will happen? So the current will be V0 divided by R, so it will be just reflection, but the amplitude will be reduced. If you plot the current will be here, okay, then again the current will be 0 as the voltage is 0, then here it will start again, it will be like this. So what will be this magnitude? Magnitude will be V0 by R. V0 by, that will be the magnitude. So this is all about the current. Now what will the voltage drop across the device? Because whenever the device is conducting, okay, that is more or less 0 if it is ideal diode. If practical diode, there will be a very small amount of voltage drop will be there. Then if it is not conducting, if the diode is not conducting, what will the voltage across it? So that voltage V0 you can find out whenever it is not conducting. So when it is not conducting, when the polarity here is minus, where it is plus. Now if you apply the KVL, if you apply KVL from here to here, if you pass, then V0 will be 0 because this diode is not conducting. So you'll find out that the voltage will be the minus of Vm. So minus of Vm is during this period. This period, the initial period, it is conducting, it is the voltage across the device diode Vd. So that one will be 0 when the diode is conducting, okay, and when the diode is not conducting, the voltage, that negative voltage, that will be appearing across it. Okay, so this is nothing but minus of Vm, which is nothing but reflection of the negative side voltage of the supply. So this minus Vm, that is called peak inverse voltage. Peak inverse voltage, that is Vm. So inverse means it is actually minus of Vm. So if peak inverse voltage saying Vm, that means you have to understand the voltage is minus Vm. Okay, so that is the voltage that will be appearing across the device. Why it is essential? Because I told you in the very beginning class, while studying the characteristics, it is very much essential to know the what is the reverse voltage that it can withstand. If you don't know, and if you apply voltage more than that, then the device may get damaged. That's why it will be helping you to choose the device which reverse breaking voltage will be just more than minus half Vm. Okay. So now after this, if you say that I will be finding out certain factors. So this is now your output voltage. So output voltage, that is a DC volt. So the output of voltage you are not getting the exact DC. So you are getting only this part 0 to pi. So this is your V0. Now if this is the voltage and for pi to 2 pi it is 0. So what is the period of time period? Time period is 2 pi. Okay, because after 2 pi only it is repeating itself. So that's why period is 2 pi. If you want to find out the average value, that the V0. Okay, so what is the formula for V0 or average value? General formula for average value is 1 by time period, 0 to time period, then the signal V0. Okay, then the signal V0 into dt. So this is the generalized formula. Now V0 you can take a function of t, but in this case it will be 1 by what is the time period is 2 pi, time period is 2 pi, time period is 2 pi, that is 0 to 2 pi V0 into d omega t, because here the axis is in terms of d omega t. So what is the value of V0? The value of V0 from 0 to 2 pi. So if you see 0 to pi it is existing, but pi to 2 pi it is not existing. So you can write down here this 1 by 2 pi 0 to pi, because pi to 2 pi it is 0. So this, what is the value of V0? V0 is nothing but Vs into d omega t. So if you integrate 1 by 2 pi 0 to pi Vm sine omega t into t omega t, that will be 1 by 2 pi Vm, you can take common, sine omega t, it will be cos omega t, minus of cos omega t, that is from 0 to pi. What will be the integration? Vm by 2 pi into, it will be cos 0 minus cos pi, because negative sign is there, it will be 1 minus 1. So this is Vm by pi. So V0 is Vm by pi. If V0 is Vm by pi, what will be the value of I0? Average value of current I0 will be equal to V0 by R. So that will be equal to Vm by pi. Okay, so this is the average value. Similarly, if you find out the RMS value how to calculate? Vrms, that will be equal to then 1 by t 0 to t, it will be V0 square. V0, so directly I am writing now here, it will be Vm square sine square omega t into g omega t. So this will become 1 by this root over. So 1 by 1 t is time period is 2 pi, 1 by 2 pi 0 to 2 pi Vm square sine square omega t, this into d omega t, this root over. Then from this what will be finding out? Vm, so 0 to pi it is only existing, 0 to 2 pi, pi to 2 pi it is 0. It will be Vm square divided by 2 pi, and sin square omega t you can write down 1 minus cos 2 omega t, this divided by 2, okay, into t omega t, this 0 to pi with root of. Now if you solve this one, so this will be Vm square by 2 pi 1 by 2, so 2 can take common, so here it will be 4 pi. 4 pi, so it will be omega t minus sine 2 omega t divided by 2 0 to pi. So this root over. Now, so what will we have to put the limit? So pi, it will be sine 2 pi, that is 0. So this is pi minus and omega t. In place of omega t, if you put 0, it will be 0. It will be pi. So it will become Vm divided by 2. So this is RMS value. Similarly, what will the current of RMS value? IRMS, the RMS value of this current waveform. Okay, that is IRMS will be equal to VRMS divided by R. VRMS divided by R. So this will become Vm divided by 2R. Okay. Now, after finding out this, the average voltages and RMS voltage, we'll be finding out several factors. First factor is rectification efficiency. Rectification efficiency. So that will be, so one question might be coming, why you are calculating RMS and VRMS and IRMS. So if it is a pure DC, then your V average will be equal to VRMS. As you are getting one pulsating DC, that's why you are calculating average value and RMS value. For pulsating DC, VRMS is not equal to V average. Okay. So rectification efficiency, that is nothing but output DC power divided by input AC power. Okay. So output DC power is nothing but V0 into I0, but input AC power is VRMS into IRMS. So that will be equal to V0. What is the value of output voltage V0? V0 already you have calculated, Vm by pi. So it is Vm by pi into Vm by pi R. This divided by VRMS is Vm by 2 and this is Vm by 2R. So Vm, this Vm will get cancelled, R will get cancelled, it will be 4 by pi square. 4 by pi square. So it will be equal to 0.405 or it is 40.5%. That is rectification efficiency. So how much, this is the efficiency of this particular rectifier. Similarly, next one is next factor that will be calculating, that is form factor. Form factor is RMS VRMS divided by V average, that is V0. VRMS is Vm by 2, V average is Vm by pi. So it will become Vm will get cancelled, so it will be pi by 2. Pi by 2 means this pi is 2.14, so it will be 1.57 or 157%. So that is what is called the form factor. Then form factor. Okay. Next is ripple factor. Ripple factor. What is the ripple factor? See, if you directly convert a rectifier, we are getting the voltages like this. If it is a half wave rectifier like this, full wave rectifier like this, you can see the magnitude is varying how. So this one is called, this is called the ripple. That is called voltage ripple. For a half wave rectifier, the ripple factor, how it will be? It will be form factor square minus 1. So it will be 1.57 square minus 1. So that will be coming around, it will be 1.21. Okay, so this is what the ripple factors. Then next we can calculate on the main most important thing, that is transformer utilization factor. Transformer utilization factor. Transformer utilization factor, how to calculate, what is the formula it is saying? It is nothing but DC power divided by volt ampere rating, Vs into Is of transformer. of transformer. Clear? So first DC power already you know that is V0 into I0. Only you have to find out the transformer that voltage volt ampere rating. For finding out volt ampere rating of the transformer, now look at it. Let's see the circuit. If you see the circuit here, the voltage is Vs. Okay. So if you remove this, all this, now look at here. The transformer voltage here, the voltage is sinusoidal. The voltage is sinusoidal, but the what are the current is flowing, that is flowing in this way. That's why you are getting a voltage drop like this, a half wave. But the inputs at the AC voltage, that AC voltage is sinusoidal voltage. So sinusoidal voltage, what will be the RMS value? So no need to derive this thing, you will be more aware. What is that RMS value? RMS value of secondary voltage of transformer. Okay, so that is equal to VS, that is equal to VM by root 2. This thing you know for, that's why I'm not deriving it. Now, then the current. So what is the current? Current is nothing but the rectified current. So current is nothing but if you see the diagram, the current will be like this, a rectified current. Okay, but the voltage will be the sinusoidal. So what is that IS? IS is nothing but VM. So IS is nothing but that is VRMS by R, that is VM divided by 2R. So now if you find out, in short it is known as transformer replacement factor, is known as TUF, that will be DC power. So DC power is V0 into I0, so that is VM by pi into VM divided by pi into R. This divided by VS is VM by root 2, this is VM by root 2 into what is the IS, that is VM divided by 2R. So this will VM, VM, and this VM, this VM will get cancelled. So this will become 2 root 2 divided by pi square. 2 root 2 divided by pi square. So what will be this value? If you find out, if you solve through calculator, you'll be getting this is 28.6%. Should be 28.65%. That means the transformer is only this much of, only it is used 28%. Okay, but the transformer, if it is utilized properly, then only it can give you the higher efficiency. So in the half wave rectifier, you have got the transformer utilization factor that is coming as 28.5%. That is 28. So these are the factors will be getting. So if you solve questions, have the numerical questions, because will be coming, because everything is now, it is a ratio. Everything is like a ratio. You have calculated ratio, so you can find out those values. Because see, this is 28.65%. Always it will be 28.65%. This one be always it will be changing. What it will be changing? The changing will be the VRMS value based on the VM value, and V average value based on the VM value. So these values only will be changing, but the factors, which is a ratio between the two quantities, that will be same at all the conditions. Okay, so this is what called a half wave rectifier. So as the half wave rectifier having a drawback is that the efficiency is 40.5%, rectification efficiency. Transformer is utilized only 28%. That's why we will be going for full wave rectifier. The second one will be full wave rectifier. Full wave. The full wave rectifier can be designed in two ways. Okay, two configurations are there. The first configuration is midpoint configuration, and second configuration is the bridge configuration, bridge rectifier. Both will be the full wave rectifier. So midpoint configuration is like this. one midpoint center tap transformer will be used here. So here will be one diode. Here will be the load, that is the resistive load. Here will be another diode. Okay. This is VP, this is VS, this is also VS. So this is plus, this is minus, this is D0, this is the resistive load having resistance R. So this is diode D1, this is diode D2. Okay, this is center tap. So this will be plus, this will be minus, this will be minus, this will be plus. But bridge rectifier, this is the primary side, secondary side. So here the devices that will be used in this form. Okay, bridge. This is another diode. Here it is connected like this. And here the resistive load is connected. So this is plus minus BP. This is plus minus BS. This is D1, G2, D3, D4. Okay. This is resistive load. So this is voltage is V0. This current is I0. But here the current is here IS. Now, if you see here in these two configurations, if you see the difference here, that here one center tap transformer is used, here no center tap, only normal transformer is used. Another difference between these two, here two devices are connected, here four devices are connected. Here at any point only one device will be connecting in the midpoint, but in the bridge configuration will be two devices will be connecting at one time. So let's see the operation of the first one, midpoint configuration. The operation is that initially this is positive, this is negative, so this diode D1 will be forward biased. Okay, so diode D1 will be forward biased. So this is plus, this is minus. So with this polarity, diode D2 will be reverse biased. So what will happen? The current will be flowing in this path. So here will be positive terminal, here negative terminal. So we'll be getting the rectified output. But in the negative half cycle, what happens? So this is for positive half cycle. The negative half cycle, what will happen? The black one, let's say this is black one is positive half cycle, and negative half cycle, this is minus, this is plus. So this will become minus, this will be plus, this will be minus, this will be plus. So with this polarity, the D1 will not conduct, but D2 will conduct. Now current will be flowing in this path. So polarity of the voltage will be same, plus minus. So current will be also flowing in the unidirection. That is the main purpose of DC. So current flows unidirectionally, and as well as the voltage is polarity also same. So this is how we'll be getting the rectified output. We'll be drawing the waveform shortly. But if you see the operation of bridge rectifier, here positive half cycle, this is plus, this is minus. So with this, the D1 and D2, these two will be forward biased. So current will be flowing in this path. Clear? Now negative half cycle, when this will be minus, this will be plus. With this polarity, this D3 will be conducting, okay, D3 will be conducting and D4 will be conducting. So with that polarity, how the current will be flowing? The current will be flowing in this path. But see, in the load, the current is unidirectional. Okay, the green one is the current during the negative half cycle. So if you see from the load point of view, the current and voltage both are unidirectional. So same thing here, current and voltage are unidirectional. What are the factors will be changing? The changing will be the source current, okay, in both the cases. Here the source current will be like alternating, okay, alternating in nature, okay, but here the load current, that will be always unidirectional. So it is not like the half wave rectifier. Now if you plot the waveform, okay, so first let's plot the midpoint waveform. If you plot the waveform like this, this is omega t, this is Vs. Now this is the sinusoidal voltage, this is plus Vm, this is minus Vm. Now if you plot the output voltage V0, output voltage V0 if you plot, then so this is 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi, this is 3 pi. Positive half cycle, if you see positive half cycle, this is conducting, okay, so that's why we getting the rectified output. Negative half cycle, D2 is conducting, again will be getting the voltage, output voltage, which will be rectified version of the negative half cycle of the source voltage. So it will be like this, 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi, okay. The similar kind of output waveform will be getting for this bridge rectifier. Exactly same wave output voltage waveform would be same. Okay. Now if you plot the output current, the output current I0, the output current I0, that will be instantaneous current, let it be small I0. So it will be just reflection of this voltage, because it will be V0 by R. So what will be this magnitude? That is V0 divided by R. Okay, and the same type of current will be getting for this bridge configuration. But what it will change? It will change will be the for source current. The source current, if you see, whenever D1 is conducting here, it will be the reflection of here this current. In the this midpoint current, it is will be same like your half wave rectifier. But in the bridge rectifier, if you plot for the bridge rectifier, the source current Is, which will be equal to I0 for one cycle, positive half cycle, it is same, it is current is flowing in this direction, positive half cycle. So same as your I0. The negative half cycle, the current is flowing, the Is is flowing negative minus of the previous one. So it is minus of I0. It is minus of I0. So for that reason, if you plot the Is, it will be, this is pi, this is 2 pi. So positive half cycle I0, if I0 is like this, it is Is will be this like this. But in the negative half cycle, the current will be flowing in the reverse direction. So the source current will be alternating in nature, but the load current, that will be always unidirectional. So load current will be like this type of rectifier, means it is like rectified version. So this will be the difference between these two. Another difference will be the peak inverse voltage. Let's find out the peak inverse voltage in both the cases. So peak inverse voltage, if you find out in this case, Now let's peak inverse voltage. Let's say whenever diode D1 is not conducting. So diode D1 is not conducting means polarity here it is plus, here it sorry, here it is minus, here it is plus. Now if you follow this path, okay, if you follow this path, when diode D1 is not conducting, but V0 is conducting. Diode D1 is not conducting, but D2 is conducting, so that's why V0 will be getting the minus of this voltage will be getting the this voltage will be getting here. So for that purpose, if you apply KVL here, so here will be one voltage drop, that is minus 2 plus Vm, here minus 2 plus Vm. So if you find out the peak inverse voltage from here to here, you will be getting that is minus 2 plus, that is plus Vm, okay, and here also minus 2 plus, that is plus Vm, okay. So this minus of this one, so here you will be getting peak inverse voltage of minus 2 Vm. Now if you look at here, if when D1 is not conducting, so when D1 is not conducting, what is the polarity here? Here it is minus, here it is plus. Now you start from the anode, okay, and move in this path. Now move in this path. So now D3 is conducting. D3 conducting, if you come here, only this Vs will be present across the device D1. So in this case, the peak inverse voltage that will be getting, that will be only Vm. That will be only minus of Vm. That is the major difference between the bridge rectifier and the midpoint configuration. So if you plot the peak inverse voltage across each diode, VD1, let's say if you are plotting VD1, then the negative half cycle, because negative half cycle only VD1 is not conducting, so you will be getting a voltage like this. What is this peak value? Minus 2 Vm. Similarly, if you plot for D2, that will be during the positive half cycle, again the magnitude will be same. And here if you plot the peak inverse voltage, it is like if you plot here VD1, that is the drop across voltage across the diode D1 when D1 is not conducting. So D1, when D1 will not conduct, in the negative half cycle, this is then will be getting this voltage. So this will be minus Vm. This will be minus Vm. Clear? So that's why generally in comparison to the midpoint configuration, the bridge configuration is preferred. Why? Because the midpoint configuration, the device rating that will be higher than the device rating in case of the bridge rectifier. Even though you are using more number of devices, still the device rating will be less. So device rating, if it is high voltage it has to withstand, the cost will be also high. So this is the two configurations. And if you see the output voltage waveform, here the period is pi, but in the half wave rectifier the period was 2 pi. So that will be the only difference here. Now if you find out the expressions, V0 will be, now directly I am writing period is time period is pi, so it will be 1 by pi 0 to pi Vm sine omega t into j omega t. So if you solve this one, 1 by pi, same procedure, it is Vm to be 2 Vm by pi. Clear? Now what will be the I0? I0 will be equal to V0 by R, so it will become 2 Vm divided by pi into R. That is will be I0. Now as you know, this is also like a pulsating DC, so again you will be calculating the RMS value, V RMS value. So V RMS again you have to calculate 1 by pi 0 to pi Vm square sine square omega t into t omega t, this root over. So if you solve this one, again Vm square you can take common, sine square omega t 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2, then you put the limit. Here VRMS will be getting Vm by root 2. But previous case in the half wave rectifier you got it Vm by 2. So then what will be the IRMS, the current RMS value of the current, output current? That will be Vm, this divided VRMS by R. It will become Vm by root 2 into R. Now if you find out the rectification efficiency, that will be equal to DC power divided by AC power. That will be equal to DC power by AC power. So that is V0 into I0 divided by VRMS into IRMS. This will be equal to 2 Vm by pi into 2 Vm divided by pi into R. This divided by RMS, that is Vm divided by root 2 into R, that is the IRMS into Vm divided by root 2. So Vm will get cancelled, here Vm will get cancelled, this R will get cancelled, that is 2, okay, that is 8 by pi square. So here it will become 81 percentage. 8 by pi square is 81 percentage. If you see this one, this is double of the twice of the half wave rectifier. Half wave rectifier efficiency. Okay. So as here you are getting a voltage in both the cycles, that's why we are getting here efficiency more than twice of half wave rectifier. Then after finding out this one, you can find out the form factor. Form factor is VRMS divided by V average. V RMS is Vm by root 2 divided by V average is 2 Vm divided by pi. So Vm will get cancelled. It will be pi divided by 2 root 2. Pi divided by 2 root 2. So if you find out this one will be equal to 1.11. Okay. Then similarly ripple factor. Ripple factor, that is equal to form factor square minus 1. So form factor square minus 1, that will be equal to 1.11 square minus 1 total. So what will this value? The ripple factor, it will be 48.2 percentage. But there in it was 157%, but it is 48.2 percentage will be there. So now the last one that will be finding out transformer utilization factor, which is nothing but DC power divided by the volt ampere rating of transformer, so that is Vs into Is. But here if you see the midpoint configuration, particularly for midpoint configuration, here Is current will be flowing, here Is current will be flowing, and here also Is current will be flowing. So if you find out the total volt ampere, it will be 2 into Vs into Is. But Vs, it is RMS values, is nothing but Vm by root 2, because this Vs is nothing but a sinusoidal voltage. Vs is sinusoidal voltage, but current, that is rectified output. So for that purpose, if you find out the Vs is nothing but Vm by root 2. Okay, and what is Is? Is is nothing but, it is a shape of Is is like half wave rectifier current. So in that case it was VRMS by R. So VRMS in the half wave rectifier is Vm by 2. It will be Is will be equal to Vm by 2 R. So what is the total volt ampere? Total volt ampere will 2 will be multiplied here, because 2 segments of the transformers are present here. So this will be equal to that transformer utilization factor, that will be equal to PDC, that is V0 into I0, 2 Vm by pi into 2 Vm divided by pi into R, this divided by Vm divided by root 2 into Vm divided by 2R. So this R will get cancelled, Vm, which is Vm will get cancelled. So you find out the transformer utilization factor, here it will be coming 50.5732, that is 57.32 percentage. Okay, so in the half wave rectifier you got this one as twice, 28.65 percentage, but here it is twice of that one, that's 57.32 percentage. That means the transformer is now utilized double than that of that used in the half wave rectifier. Okay, so this is all about the rectifiers. Okay, now next we'll be studying another application of this power converters. Okay, that is nothing but inverter. So inverter, you can say that it is just the reverse of the rectifier. So rectifier was converting AC to DC, so this one will be converting from DC to AC. So at nowadays every household is having inverter. So inverter converts one DC supply voltage to the AC. So where is DC is coming? This is coming from the battery. So which will be earlier it will be charged through through the rectifier action. Then from that it is recovered and it is converted to AC. Okay, so the inverter, if you see the according to your syllabus, will be studying the single phase inverters with resistive load. So inverters, if you see, there are two type configuration. Again, like a rectifier, there are two type of configuration. First one is half bridge inverter, and second one is called full bridge inverter. So half bridge inverter, the first one will see half bridge. So half bridge inverter, if you see the circuit diagram, DC voltage will be there. This is VS. Here two capacitor will be there. It will be stabilizing the DC voltage and it will be dividing. It will be dividing the here one device will be connected. This device is IGBT that you have studied in the basic devices chapter. This is capacitor. So these are called stabilizing capacitor. This is C, and this is also C. This is the midpoint, and to this midpoint, that load will be connected. And in parallel with the devices, will be connecting two anti-parallel diodes. The purpose of the anti-parallel diode, I'll tell you later. This is the first device Q1. This is second device Q2. So here the supply voltage is Vs. Okay, so this is positive terminal, this is negative terminal. So that's why as two similar capacitors are connected here, the voltage will be Vs by 2 and here it will be Vs by 2. So this is why it is called a half bridge. Only two devices are there and half of the supply voltage is applied across the devices. So that's why it is called as half bridge inverter. So this is D1, this is D2. Now let's see what happens, because see, always this is a DC supply voltage, so always the positive terminal will be this one, so positive will be always applied here. and this negative will be always applied here. Okay, so here if you see, so here it is positive terminal, here it is negative terminal. Now we can control the switching. So if you give the gate signal, this is a IGBT. So if you give this gate signal to Q1 first, so if you give the Q1 switch on signal, if you are applying to the Q1, then this plus will be coming here and this minus will be coming here. Okay, now so here the volt, this is V0, so V0 terminal, the voltage will be here positive terminal, here negative terminal. Now let if you are giving the signal to the Q2, if you are giving signal to the Q2, then here plus is there, so plus will be coming here. Q2 is on, so here minus will be coming here. So if you see the voltage across the load, that polarity is changing. So if you plot the output voltage waveform, if you plot the output voltage waveform, look at here. B0, because this is Vs. Now when the device, the first device is on, means Q1 is on, you will be getting a voltage here, that is positive voltage. Let's say that is positive. So it is, what is the magnitude of this one? Plus Vs by 2. Okay. Then let's say this is the half of the time period. The next up to the time period T, you switch on the Q2. Okay, your Q1 was on, now you switch on the Q2. Then the polarity of the voltage across the load, that is changing, that is negative, so here it will be negative. What is this magnitude? Minus Vs by 2. So this is what will be getting the output voltage waveform. So from a DC voltage, you have got one alternating. Then how to get a sinusoid? Because you know that almost all our loads are sinusoidal. Then what you have to do? You have to connect certain filters. And some, while switching, there are some technique that is called pulse width modulation technique. But that is a high level, if you not for the basic electrical engineering level. So if you belong to electrical engineering, you will be studying this one, that is called pulse width modulation technique. If you do that one, then this square wave, okay, it can be converted to a sine wave, Okay, so why these filters are very much necessary to convert that into a sinusoidal voltage? What is the problem with the square wave? What is the problem? You know, at this instant T by 2, you can see that is plus Vs by 2 magnitude and minus Vs by 2 magnitude. Both are existing. So the dV by dt stress, that will be very high. Okay, during that instant, that is what called common voltage. That's why we need to convert that into sinusoidal voltage. So how it will be done? By using filters, and one technique is that pulse width modulation technique. If you use which one, then you'll be getting a sinusoidal voltage. And what is the problem with if this kind of voltage, if you apply to the, let's say, your fan, then it will be, because this waveform contains harmonics. Harmonics means the components other than the fundamental component. Fundamental frequency is 50 hertz. Then harmonics will be, let's say, third harmonics, it will be 150 hertz. Second harmonics, 100 hertz. Fourth harmonics, 200 hertz. Like that, it will be multiple of fundamental frequency. So as it contains harmonics, if you apply this to any load, then what will happen? Due to the harmonics, heating will be occurring, some noise will be coming out of that. Okay, so that's why you need to convert that into sinusoidal voltage. So this is how you can convert one plus that voltage, DC voltage, to a alternating voltage, that is nothing but a square wave, but which can be modified by using the filter to a sinusoidal. So this is what a inverter. But if it is a inductive load, then the output voltage always it will be like this. For inductive load, the current will be starting from some phase difference. It will be starting from here. So there will be some phase difference. So let's say this is pi, and this cos pi is nothing but your power factor. But we will not discuss about the inductive load. So leave the resistive load. So the resistive load, this is the output voltage form, and this is the current waveform if you are using the filter. So this is a half bridge converter. So where you are getting the voltage plus Vs by 2 to minus Vs by 2 means if you are applying, let's say, 100 volt, then you will be getting here 50 volt, here minus 50 volt. Okay, So this is half bridge converter, you are getting the voltage that is less than the applied voltage. So for that purpose, we are going for the next configuration, that is nothing but full bridge configuration. Full bridge inverter. So it is more or less, it is just modified version of the half bridge inverter. So how it will be? Again here it will be log VA you have two capacitor will be there, but the midpoint will not be connected. This is C, this is C, and here one IGBT, here the second IGBT that is connected here. Now in between these two pins, the load will be connected. And here the antiparallel diodes are used for inductive loads. Inductive loads, if the because you know the inductor, it will be energized. Then next it will be de-energized. While de-energizing, those that path will be given by the diode, because these devices are the IGBTs are unidirectional device. So this is BS, this is plus minus, this is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3, and this is Q4. So this is Q1, D2, D3, D4, and this is the load voltage. Pressure is a resistive load. So here it is the same thing. Now first, there you are having two devices. Now here you are having four devices. So first you give command to Q1 and Q2. So if you are switching on Q1 and Q2, what will happen? Current will flow. The current will flow in this path. After here, this path. So here it will become plus. This will become minus. So this will be 0. Now, in the next instant, next half cycle, you give command to the Q3 and Q4, and Q1, Q2 are off. Then in that case, how the current will flow? The plus is here. Now, this is conducting. So this is conducting means current will be flowing in this path. So with this, here it will be polarity plus, here it is minus. So what is the difference from the previous one? Here the voltage, the output voltage that you will be getting from, that is T, the V0. So this is T by 2, and this is the total time period T. So the output voltage V0, that will be whenever that will be equal to, so when Q1 and Q2 are conducting, so during this period Q1 and Q2 are conducting, so that voltage will be reflection of this one, so this will be plus Vs. This is plus Vs. Now next half cycle, when Q3 and Q4 are conducting, then this will be that is minus Vs. This is minus Vs. So if you compare to the previous one, here the voltage is more than that. Means so whatever the voltage you are applying DC voltage, the same voltage will be appearing, you will be getting at the output, that is the peak value plus Vs. The same thing you will be doing here. You will be using the filter, then you will be getting a sinusoidal voltage. and the same PWM technique, you'll be getting sinusoidal voltage. Then what is the difference between these two? Here you are getting the higher voltage than the previous one, and here there is no midpoint configuration is required. Okay. And here at a time two devices are conducting. So two devices are conducting means the voltage drop that handling that capacitor that will be divided by two. Okay, each cycle two devices are conducting, but here each cycle only one device was conducting. So this is all about the inverters. But if you see the both half bridge and full bridge, so this if you want to find out what is the fundamental component, the sinusoidal component present in it, then you have to apply Fourier series. You have to apply Fourier series. Same thing you can do it for half bridge also. But half bridge, if you find out the fundamental voltage V0 at V0, V01, let's say fundamental voltage, it will be 2 Vs. If you are finding out the RMS value, 2 Vs by root 2 pi. So this will be the fundamental component by Fourier series. Fourier series. So Fourier series, you know, that is one tool that any signal can be represented as the summation of the several sinusoidal signals. So from that you can find out 2 Vs by root 2 into pi. Similarly, here will be getting the V01 RMS value. As it is a full bridge device, then you will be getting here 4 Vs. Vs is the DC voltage divided by root 2 into pi. So this will be the voltage for inverter. Clear? So next application that we'll see, that is nothing but DC to the last application, DC to DC converter. So you have seen first you have seen AC to DC converter, then DC to AC converter, that is inverter. First one is rectifier. So this is DC to DC converter. So it will be converting fixed DC to variable DC, or it can convert, it can step up the voltage, or it can step down the voltage. So this thing, you know, in AC it was done by transformer. Stepping up the voltage, stepping down the voltage. But as you people might be knowing that DC, if you are applying the transformer, the action will not happen. So transformer will not work. So that's why DC to DC converter is being invented. So there you will see that you can step up the voltage, you can step down the voltage. So the first one will see step down converter. Step down converter. So step down, how does it work? Okay, let's say we are having one DC voltage, and here you are connecting one switch. So this switch is nothing but a converter. Then here we are putting one resistive load. So this is V0, this is R, this supply voltage VH, and the switch, this is acting as a converter. So we'll see the circuit when the switch is on, what is the circuit parameter, how it is changing, and when the switch is off, what is the condition. So let's say this current is I0. Now if you plot, okay, this is DC voltage, you plot the output voltage waveform, this is T, this is V0, output voltage V0. Now when the switch is on, the converter is on, then what is the V0? V0 is nothing but supply voltage Vs. So this is Vs, let's say for period of T by 2. The next period you switch it off. When you switch it off, the V0 will become 0. So it will be 0 for the next, that is T. Then after that again you can repeat the cycle. So during this period you can refer that this instant is that period for which the device is on. Let it be T on. And this is the period for which the device is off, that is T off. Then what is T on plus T off? T on plus T off, that is equal to total time T. Okay. So this is the instantaneous value of the V0 output voltage V0. Now if you find out the average value, let it be instantaneous value. If you find out the average, so you know that how to get the average. You have to as this is a square wave. Okay, this is like a square wave. You can find out the area under that curve. So if you find out the average value, V0 will be equal to average this period, that is T on, this period is T off. So we can write down here V0 equal to Vs, the magnitude is Vs into T on plus for the period T off. What is the magnitude? Magnitude is 0. So 0 into T off. This divided by total time period T. Okay. So this is 0. So this will become Vs divided by T into T on. So this is equal to D into Vs. What is this D? D is called duty ratio. D is called duty ratio. So that is equal to T on divided by total time T. So duty ratio means it is the ratio of the on period, the period for which that converter is on or the switch is on. So that on period divided by T, that is nothing but your duty ratio. So what will be the maximum possible value of duty ratio? Duty ratio, the maximum possible value will be 1. So hence T1 will be equal to capital T. So duty ratio, it varies from 0, okay, to 1. It will be varying from 0 to 1. So when D will be varying from 0 to 1, what will be V0? V0 always it will be less than Vs. So that means it is step down. It is step down converter. So step down converter will be finding out the output voltage, always it will be less than the input voltage. And then next, if you find out the RMS value, let it be RMS value of the output voltage. Okay, then again it will be, you have to just square it. Each case you have to take square, then you have to take the root over, then it will be nothing but root over of D into Vs. So this will be the RMS value of the output voltage. Okay, so this is nothing but a step up converter. Similarly, you can design one step down converter. Sorry, step down converter we have discussed. Now next one is step up converter. Step up converter means here the output voltage V0 will be greater than Vs. Okay, so what will be the circuit for this one? The circuit for this one is V. Here we will be using one inductor. Okay, now the converter will be placed here. Means the switch will be placed here. Here you will be placing one diode. Then here the resistive load. This is on, this is plus minus. This is plus minus Bs. This is the inductor L. This is the switch and this is the diode, let's say D. So let's see how this is will be happening. So this is the converter, and we'll be considering this one. When this is switch on, what is the condition? When this switch is off, what is the output voltage? Let's say this is V0. Now if you see the first, when the switch is on, the output voltage, there will be no output voltage. So if you plot the output voltage V0 up to T by 2, when the device is on, this is the device, this is on, the output voltage will be 0, and when this is off, then you will be getting the voltage which will be connected to the source, that will kind of so be getting a voltage here. What is the magnitude of this voltage? Will be finding out now. This is T by 2, this is total time T. So during this is the T on period, this is the T off period. Now we'll see here when the switch is on, this switch is on, here it is the inductor will be energized with this positive polarity, this is minus polarity. Then what will happen? What is the voltage across the inductor? So that will be equal to L. Let's say this current is now I. So L di by dt, that is equal to Vs. Okay, so inductor is energized. Okay, so as the inductor is energizing here, and during that period, if you plot the current, here, so during this period, let's say it is starting from a minimum value initial current, so current inductor will be energizing here like this. Now when the switch is off, okay, when the switch is off, the inductor will change its polarity. So it will be minus, here it will be plus. Okay, now the current will be flowing through here to the load and will be getting the load voltage. So during that period, inductor will be de-energizing. And this, let's say this is from I1, this value is I2. So this difference is known as del I. That is nothing but current ripple. This is called current ripple. So from this expression you can find out what is del I. So del I will be equal to Vs divided by L into, for which period this relation is holding, for T on. So this is equal to T on. This is nothing but equal to del I. Now when the switch is off, now the polarity is now minus plus. Now you apply KVL. So if you apply KVL, it will be Vs plus VL. Okay, Vs plus VL, that is equal to V0. That means V0 will be equal to Vs plus, what is the VL? That is L di by dt. L into di 0, that it will be I0 by dt, because during this period, let's say the current is I0. Okay, so when current is flowing here, that is I. But when the switch is on, when the switch is off, the current is here I0. So del di I0 by dt. This is equal to Vs plus L into, that will be del I, and what is the time period? That is T off. Okay, so because this happens during the T off period. So this is Vs plus L into L divided by T off. Okay. Now what is del I? Del I from this, let's say this is equation number 1. From equation number 1, we can put it here. That is Vs divided by L into T off. So L will get cancelled. So Vs you can take common. This is equal to V0. If you take common, it will become 1 plus T on by T off. So how to modify this one? Vs, if you add this two, it will be T on plus T off, that is total time T divided by T off. Okay, then further you can simplify Vs into 1 divided by T off by T. So you need to express in terms of duty ratio. So for that purpose, we are doing the simplification. So it will be 1 divided by 1 minus T on by T. So it will be T minus T on, that is T off, because T on plus T off equal to total time T. So what is this one? So finally you can find out the relation. V0 will be equal to Vs into 1 divided by 1 minus D. Okay, 1 minus D. So this is the relation. As you know that T varies between 0 to 1. Okay, so what will happen to the Vs? Always it will be 1 divided by some quantity less than 1. Let's say it is 1 divided by 0.8. It will become 8. Okay, sorry, it will become 8 by 10. It will be 10 by 8, which will be greater than 1. That means always in this case V0 will be getting greater than Vs. So this is what called a step-up converter. So here we are not using any transformer or anything. So here we are just making with the help of inductor. Now we have designed the circuit in such a way that here you will be getting the output voltage more than the input voltage. So this is what called DC to DC converter in a step-up mode. So here you are getting output voltage more than the input voltage. So this is all about the applications of those devices that you have studied. And you see here the devices that we'll be using here, that can be a IGBT or it can be a MOSFET. Generally, a MOSFET is preferred. So for this operation as a switch, so continuously it will be on, the inductor will be energized, off, inductor will be de-energized to the load. Okay, and you'll be getting the output voltage more than the input voltage. So this is all about the power converters of basic electrical engineering. And okay, this part today we discussed only the applications. Previously we discussed about the different devices and their characteristics. Okay, thank you.